What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of Not A24, the podcast that takes a look at movies outside of the A24 library, literally 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are scaling the Burj Khalifa and stopping nuclear war as we talk about Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Ghost Protocol, baby!
Love it.
The IMF is shut down when it's implicated in the bombing of the Kremlin, causing Ethan Hunt and his new team to go rogue to clear their organization's name. This movie fucking rocks, dude.
Yes,
this is my first time seeing this movie. It was sick. Okay, if this is your first time listening to a Patreon episode, welcome to our impossible mission to cover every single installment of the Mission Impossible franchise leading up to Dead Reckoning Part 1 in mid-July. In literally 24 minutes. We have a timer going right now. If you are not watching this, either on YouTube, then you wouldn't know. But I'm telling you, we're down to 22:56 now. So
yeah,
our timer does not stop for anything. If we go over, we've got a pinwheel of punishment, which it's very possible by the time that we record our next episode, we will be partaking in a punishment because it sounds like you want to go over this episode because it's one of your favorites, and we might have gone over for Mission Impossible 2. So yet to be determined. We'll see when we put out the vote. Okay, are you ready to talk Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol?
So ready. I'm so ready.
Okay, let's do it. Released in 2011. 5 years after the previous installment of MI3, directed by Brad Bird, his first live-action film, I believe. Michael Giacchino back to score Mission Impossible. We've got Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Paula Patton, Simon Pegg, and Léa Seydoux, which was crazy. I didn't look at any of the cast lists, and Léa Seydoux shows up like 6 seconds into this movie, and I was like, that's fucking cool. That's awesome that she is in this movie. Ben, take the stage. You've watched this before. You know where this falls in your MI rankings. Set the stage, man.
This is my absolute favorite Mission Impossible movie. I am aware that this one doesn't necessarily have like the craziest stunts, but it does have a insanely crazy stunt. He keeps ramping it up with all these other movies, but this one to me was, I think part of it is I saw the first one in theaters and then I didn't see the other two for some reason in theaters. But then I saw 4 and it was like,
what a jump.
Oh shit. Yeah. Right. You know, I was like, oh, okay, this is nuts. And I don't know that I've ever had sweatier palms than the Burj Khalifa scene, like ever. Like it's crazy.
I literally texted you and I was like, dude, I gasped so fucking loud when his hand came off of that window.
Yeah.
I was losing my mind, and I was the only person in my home watching this movie. There was nobody around me, and I was like audibly gasping. It was insane.
No, it's so good. Like he did his own stunts, which is crazy. There's a photo online that I will send to you and you can put in the episode, but he's just like sitting literally on top of the Burj Khalifa, like the very tippy top. No wires or anything, just like sitting there, just like hanging out. Like this is insane. He did this stunt with wires, but still that's crazy to have done it at all. I've been to Dubai. I've actually been to the Burj Khalifa and like to the top of like where the people can go. And it's insane. It is so crazy high, you know? So like, to watch this, it's like, I cannot believe he did this.
Oh my God.
And again, like obviously later on, he's doing halo jumps and he's like on the side of a plane. Like he does really gnarly stuff. But to me, I think why I like this one so much is like, it still felt grounded, I guess, to some extent, you know, like what do
even though we went to space, but sure. Okay.
What do you mean we went to space? So in this one?
Yeah, they gotta get to the satellite, man. We get like some really nice CGI space, I will say.
We do. I mean, yeah, but
that's a compliment. It's a compliment. I didn't mean to bring you down.
So listen, man, I'm ready to throw down. Okay, but it still felt like somewhat grounded, where it's like no one's gonna like attach themselves to the side of a plane that takes off. Like that's just not a thing that happens. And honestly, like no one would probably do this, but it is the situation of like you have to get to this like server room, but we can't access it from inside. What do? You know, it's like, you do this, you know, and it's insane, but you know, it's not mission difficult. It's Mission Impossible, right? You know? I don't know. Yeah. There's we'll talk about obviously like our true cinema moments and stuff, but I love every single set piece of this movie. And I feel like they all complement each other well. They're all very unique. Obviously even the areas that they take place are pretty unique. missing Philip Seymour Hoffman as always in every movie. I just wish he was in every movie.
Yeah.
I love him in 3, and that's why that's my second favorite of all of them. But the action here, Brad Bird just like kind of just like throwing everything at the wall. He's like, this is my first live action. For those who don't know, he worked at Pixar. That's kind of where he came from. I'm trying to pull up the movies that he did. I know he did The Incredibles.
Yeah, I believe he did Ratatouille as well.
Yeah. Okay. So also Ratatouille. So there's some kind of Easter eggs to Pixar throughout this movie, which is cool.
A113, baby.
Yeah,
Love
A113. So also directed The Iron Giant. So I mean, a wonderful movie. But this is first live action, and I think he just absolutely nailed it. I don't know. I could just keep going on and on. I do want to hear like your take on it as someone who watched it for the first time. But I just know like this one for me is still, even after these rewatches, I know we have 2 more to go, but it just like solidified to me like, yes, this is for me the best one. We brought in Renner, who like was kind of supposed to take over, but I think then Tom Cruise is like, I'm not done yet, like I'm gonna keep doing it. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny that like we're gonna like slowly edge him in. It's like, no, he's not gonna take over. I still got years left in me. But yeah, Paula Patton, you've seen Simon Pegg come back. Yep. Michael Nyquist is the bad guy. Like he does a wonderful job. So so many great set pieces, and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to get into our true cinema moments, but I love this movie so much.
Yeah, dude, this movie rules. I think, let me say initially, you're right on the money. Like the biggest missing element is Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like I just adored his villain. And I think MI3 so far does the best villain work. And that's not taking away from this movie. That is just an incredible shining star on what that movie was. I love the premise of this. I love that it, obviously deals with geopolitical tensions. I think is really interesting. Far more twists in this movie than I anticipated. I think it's the first movie that at least has some sense of self-awareness. Like Simon Pegg shouts out like, the mask, how come I never get to wear a mask? Everybody else gets to wear a mask. And it's like, oh fuck, you're right. Like we've had 3 movies in a row where the first thing we see is a mask, and now we're not. And I liked that a lot about it. Definitely the funniest movie of any of them so far. I sent you a voice audio message as soon as I finished it, and I was like, dude, Luther going into his pocket, pulling out the middle finger and telling Ethan Hunt that yes, of course he can pay for the beers. Just elite tier comedy for me. So like we get Luther for like literally 60 seconds, and that's 15 of it. And I just thought it was so funny. There were lots of good funny moments in this. Lots of really good one-liners that kind of led into major plot points. Again, like I think Tom Cruise becomes more cognizant of like what he is building with the Mission Impossible franchise and his role in the real world as Ethan Hunt, right? And like what these movies mean for action movies and stunt sequences and all of these things. The Burj Khalifa just sent me over the top. Like I was just losing my mind again. And like another really funny part, it's not on my true cinema, so I'm going to mention it real fast, is like Simon Pegg's character coming in after Ethan barely makes it in the window and is have to held on by 2 other people. And he comes up in the window and Simon Pegg is just like, all right, well, I got it done. I changed the hotel room numbers. I can't believe I got that done. And it's just like, this guy rules. Like, this is incredible.
It's so funny. Yeah, he comes in. He's
so
like,
funny.
I pulled it off. I don't know how I did it.
I don't know how I did
everyone
it.
else was like sweaty palms and sweaty feet watching Tom Cruise like jump into a window.
Oh, man.
Climb the Burj Khalifa. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. So I do think it really does raise the stakes in terms of like what is possible for a Mission Impossible film, practical and stunt wise and storyline wise. I think there's not as clean as a villain as the third one, but it is not overly convoluted. Like it completely makes sense with the nuclear codes and all of these things. Let's do our true cinema moments. We'll each do 3. That way we can kind of talk our way through this. I'll let you kick it off, dude. What's your first one?
I mean, the first one is them infiltrating the Kremlin. Like, I think the hallway scene specifically is so well done. I think it's a wonderful almost like James Bond-esque like gadgetry that we get to see them use, which is super cool, like using the person's perspective, and everything is set up and it's like it's not told to us. We just like we're watching it happen. So like we see the camera like adjusting to the person's face so that like the angles are different. And then we see at the end like how that causes them to get exposed because they didn't plan to have for more than one person there. You know, it's like, oh, what happens then? What does the camera do? But just like the little clicker with like the water drop, and
that's sick.
Yeah, like it's a wonderful sequence. There's enough tension there without it like being too crazy, like because you don't want to. It's really the first kind of like set piece, I guess, like other than the intro, you know, but it's kind of the first action set piece, like they got to infiltrate thing. And I think it just sets a wonderful tone here of like, okay, our gadgetry is bumped up a little bit and we kind of know what the stakes are right now because, you know, there's something in the Kremlin that we have to get, that the film, you know what I mean? And it's only here. Cool. Got it. Straightforward. You know, that's like, we know what we're here to do. Getting Simon Pegg involved in the action is kind of cool. Having him be there with him, with
Chatty Cathy when that guy gets nervous. Benji talks a lot.
Chatty Cathy. Yep. But just all that stuff, you know, the red balloon with Paula Patton, just everything.
Yeah, that was
I love that sequence so much. So that's what I'm going to go with, is them in the hallway of the Kremlin.
That's a good one. I love Tom Cruise like as the general, and speaking Russian, I think is really good. His change from the Kremlin outfit to the bomber jacket is elite, is so good. And then he just turns into a tourist after that, which is really cool.
Don't be still in my next topic.
Okay. I gotta be careful. I will say the prison escape scene, I think is an excellent hook for this movie. You set the tone and the pace high. The energy is really intense and really hot. You get a great song, like a needle drop that kicks it off. You get your team and that energy between everybody, that kind of camaraderie right on screen initially. And then you get that era of mystery that we slowly leaks out during the movie of like, why was he there? Like, you know, why are we breaking him out? Is this part of the task at hand and all of these things? And by the time we get to the very end, we, you know, realize it was the long con. It was the long haul. Like he's full send. Like he just got that much cooler. Like you didn't think he could be cooler. And then it's like, had to go to prison. That just cost of doing business. And it's like, dude, you're the fucking man. That's unreal. I'm going to say my very first true cinema scene is when Ethan Hunt gets in the car with the president, and then we see Jeremy Renner as the analyst for the very first time, and the secretary, and then the analyst. The secretary says the president has initiated Ghost Protocol. The entire IMF has been disavowed. I didn't know like that was what we were basing the movie on, and so I was like, holy shit! Like, okay, I get it now. Ghost Protocol makes sense. Totally understand. Also, what are we going to do? Like, what is my boy going to do? He's got no tech. He's got no team. He's been disavowed. And then the car blows up. And you're like, sick. Thought we were already screwed because we're disavowed. And now we're in a bomb car crash. So I thought that scene was great. Really hit me out of nowhere, that twist. And then kind of jump starts, you know, the next part of the movie.
I mean, Tom Wilkinson just takes one straight to the head, you know.
Dude, it's just unbelievable. Relentless.
My guy from Michael Clayton. It's crazy.
Oh,
it's like
that's where I recognize him from. I was like, where is this fucking guy from?
Yeah, that's him.
He's
with all the baguettes.
Sublime in Michael Clayton. Sublime. Wow.
So good.
Gosh, great movie.
Honestly, it's like we have scenes. Like that was going to be my backup scene in case you took one of my other ones, you know? So it's just like, I mean, my next scene is going to be, I told my partner, Ashley, before we started this, I was like, there's a moment in here. It's kind of a small moment, but it's probably my favorite thing out of the entire film. And it is when he switches from the general, just like turns that bomber jacket inside out and then like just starts walking. It's like, it's so smooth. It's so well done. Like he's just like walking out and I just love it. And then what that leads into with like the Kremlin exploding and him, we get the classic Tom Cruise run, you know, trying to escape everything blowing up. And then obviously then we go to the hospital.
Ending up in the hospital. Yeah.
But that scene, it's like, it's a small thing, but it's just, it's so perfectly done. You have no idea it's coming, you know, it's just like hat, like nose, all that, throw that away, turn my jacket inside out, pull out a fucking brochure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
he
like
just
a
has
map
that ready
or
to
something.
go. Yeah. And he's like, yeah,
And
he's
the
just a tourist
glasses too.
now.
He just puts on some frames, and you're like, damn, Tom Cruise can rock some frames. He can do
really
it.
Can. Yeah, he really can. So that will be my official moment. But I mean, we're covering a lot of cool options, you know, for sure.
Definitely. Let me ask you real quick before I do my second option here. Lot of really cool gadgets in this movie. It feels like we really elevated the gadget game, which I liked. I thought was really, really nice, a really great kind of ingenious way to more modernize like what the IMF is doing and what this franchise is doing. Do you have a favorite gadget from this movie in particular?
I mean, I think the hallway thing, you know, that inflatable is pretty cool, like the to mess with your sense, but the briefcases are so rad and how
that
they
like
utilize
prints
them.
off on the inside.
Yeah, like whatever you double blink on, like with your contact gets printed, and like that's cool. And like you said, the gadgetry just got bumped up in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am going to pick as my favorite gadget Benji's hotel room changer. I can't believe they have an entire gadget dedicated to like this specific hotel and this specific font or like however the gadget works of like, let's put a new hotel number on there. I loved it. I was like, we have gadgets for everything. And I thought that was great.
It's like the original Batman movie with Adam West, and they're getting attacked by a shark, and he has like bat shark repellent. It's like you just happen to have this on you, like very specific, but it works. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. That brings me to my second moment. I didn't write down, so I'm trying to figure out as we go. Okay, my second moment, I'm actually going to jump to no, see, I'd be, oh God. Okay, no, I'm going to do it because I have a third moment. My second moment, I'm going to take at the very end, after Tom Cruise, you know, dives the car down, gets the briefcase at the very end, just in time to stop it. And again, funniest Mission Impossible movie yet, where he's like, mission accomplished, and he hits the button. I fucking keeled over. I was like, that is so good. It's so funny. And then he brings it up to Luther later on, and it's like, Luther's like, you yelled mission accomplished? And he's like, yeah, I did. And I was just like, this is so smart. Like, I hope, I don't know, I haven't seen him, but I hope like we continue this. I think that is a really fun nature about Mission Impossible, that like you can kind of have that joke at your own expense, but it's also really fucking cool because like, yeah, mission accomplished. He just did it. And you know, the button didn't work the first 2 times, but then it worked and he finally did it.
It kind of felt like the jump from, as far as humor is concerned, like from Thor Dark World to Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, 100%
we can be funny
agree
with this character. Like, not that Ethan didn't have other funny moments in the previous movies. Obviously, like the magic trick and stuff was kind of cool. But this was the first time it really felt like he was okay to laugh at himself, which is, I think, you know, kind of humanizing and pretty rad.
Agreed.
My third moment, I mean, it's on the timer right now. If you're watching this, you know, it's the Burj scene. There's so much to choose from. So in case you're going to talk about it as well, I'm just going to choose like specifically the shot that we get from inside the room as he walks out. Like we're got a slow push behind him as he's approaching the window. And then we kind of raise up above him and he like kind of turns that corner and gets on the wall, but the camera goes above and over his head and shows you like what it looks like straight down. It's like, it's such a cool shot. It's a wonderful shot. And it really just kind of hits home. Like obviously there's so much other stuff that happens in this whole sequence, but to kick it off with that slow moving, just like, here we go. Like this is like, how do you get out? Yeah. You just like, turn around the corner and just like start. It's like, and it's wonderfully shown. Yeah.
Okay. I will piggyback off of that and I will kind of do the opposite end of the spectrum here. I will take when he's going back in. I know I mentioned it earlier with Benji's humor, which I do think is really funny. But when he is trying to go back, so his glove malfunctions, which again, really funny moment that it like sticks to the window next to him and then it flies away again, which I thought was great. Tom Cruise is so good at like that like, are you fucking kidding me look, you know, where he doesn't have to say a word and you just know he's livid. He is trying to get back inside because Jeremy Renner is just like, every minute is just like 22 minutes, 21 minutes, 20 minutes until they show for the meeting. And so he has to make it back inside. His rope is not long enough. And you're like, oh my God. Like I was like, what are we going to do? Like literally what is going to happen? I don't know the last time that I have felt that like in a movie because, you know, you're an hour 15 into a 2-hour movie. You know he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But like, it feels so high stakes because we have seen him fall from things. We have seen him slip. We have seen him make the wrong decision about certain things. So it feels like it's a possibility. And then he swings around and he ditches the rope and he fucking jumps and like flies into the window only to be caught by the ankle of Jeremy Renner and uses that mad core strength to get back up. And then we get Benji's entrance and it's just like absolute, like the premium content of like, whoo, you know, we did it. Like, let's wipe that sweat away. Unreal scene.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I thought you were talking about, you know, that exchange he has with Renner when he goes to the bottom and Renner's like, it's not long enough. He's like, no shit. You know, like, it's so good. Like he's in like this life or death situation.
So
and he's
funny.
like, you know, and even earlier, like you said, he keeps calling down the time and he's like, the timer's not helping. Countdown is not helping. I don't need that at all. You know, like
that's
they
what
do
I'm
have
saying,
a
dude.
good
This
exchange.
is the funniest moment. And like, especially Renner's character brings in some really good energy against Tom Cruise because when he's alone, we get that really funny warm up that he does before taking the jump. And then when he's with Cruise and tries to break the news about like, it was me in Croatia. I had one job. Like that is 100% wholehearted. And then we get that big reveal at the end, which again, I thought was really smart way to play this movie. I think Renner was a great addition to the movie.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. One thing I enjoyed too is the malfunctioning of the mask thing. Like, that
was
brought
good.
up an interesting dynamic. We got a little bit of a prosthetic during the whole like Kremlin thing, but for the most part, there's no mask in this movie, which kind of subverts the expectation of the Mission Impossible franchise. And then just like that whole payoff of like, well, do we know if she's seen him before? Like, I don't know, but we have no choice, you know? So then it's just like this exchange where they're just like staring at Leah Sadu and just waiting, like, is she going to buy this or what's going to happen? It's like the tension's there. It's like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but like it did, you know? And it's like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, it was so rad. Okay, would this movie fit in the A24 catalog? Quite frankly, I think it's too, like, I think the action is too good. I think it's too top tier to fit within like the A24 means of production, generally known for a lower budget. Climbing the Burj Khalifa could not have been cheap.
No, not at all. Yeah, it feels like the further we get into the franchise here, the less A24 we're going. I think I said 1 and 3 could have been A24. What?
No, you're good. I'm watching the timer and I got stuff I got to say too. So I think we're going over.
We're going over. I'm not, we're just going over without a doubt. I want to see what this first punishment is. So I think the further away we get from this, the less we're going to be able to say A24, you know, could have done this. But again, like wonderful set pieces. We go to India. How have we not talked about like the dust storm?
Dude,
you know what I mean?
I literally just looked at that and I was just like, Tom Cruise trying to outrun a sandstorm. We didn't even talk about that.
The genius writing of like, he's wearing the goggles as he climbs. He then has to hurry and go meet Leah Sadu, but he still has the goggles around his neck. Like, okay, I'll hurry and put it in my coat. And then he's in a dust storm. He's like, oh, wait, I have the goggles. It's like, that's so smart. It's so good.
I literally wrote down on here, suit with sports goggles, because like initially when we get that introduction where he has to go meet Leah Sadu, they're around his neck. And I was like, oh, that's badass. Like, businessman, we got a suit, leaves him around his neck, he pockets them, and then later he puts it to use, and he's running in a really, really nice suit with his goggles. I just fucking loved that. Like that one detail where I was just like, that's sick.
Yeah. And how cool that he has, like, he's following him on the radar. It's like, you got to stay kind of close, whatever. And there's nothing happening. Then all of a sudden it's coming like directly at him. And all of a sudden this car is there. And it's like, oh shit, you know, like,
shows up in the sandstorm.
Yeah,
we've gone over, Ben. We're committed now.
We're committed, but
this is it.
I don't think this fits in the A24 catalog, but it definitely fits into like my catalog. I love this film so much.
Yeah, love this. There's one other specific thing that I wrote down that is on the tech side that when I first saw it, I was just like, God, that's fucking cool. I just don't know another way to describe it. And then when they get to the train car and they kind of have their IMF meeting of like, this is it. There's no IMF. We have no team. These are the only gadgets we have. This is all we can do. And immediately, before they have any of that conversation, Tom Cruise gets in there. He gets this screen that like comes down the side into the middle, and then he puts on these overhead headphones and just gets down to brass tacks. And I was like, that might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a movie. Like, at least the spy movie. Like, it was just so confident and so cool and collected, and like the headphones are sick. Like, I just thought it was sick. I don't know. I don't know what about it.
It was rad because like it's this wall TV that becomes a table, and then also
he sets the USB drive on.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to plug it in.
Yeah, he just throws it on there, and suddenly all the info's there, and then it kind of becomes this mix of like a Batman gadget and like from the MCU, and we see like the collector telling the history, you know, of all the stones. Like all this like stuff is just like it's you know what it is. It's very Star Wars. Like it's a very Star Wars like projector kind of thing, which is super rad. So totally. that was a great call out.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else specific that you want to talk about? We're getting a punishment for this. We're gonna spin the wheel on the next episode because it's guaranteed.
We'll see what happens.
So if anybody has any punishment ideas, we are open. We are open to filling out the wheel with some of your ideas.
Yeah.
They have to be doable for a podcast. Obviously, they can't be anything that's not doable. Do you have anything else that you want to call out about the movie? I think there's one more thing for me. Initially, when they're doing the escape plan in prison and they light the fuse and then it bleeds right into the Mission Impossible theme song, thought that was sick. I was like, that was really well done.
Just him literally saying light the fuse, like, oh fuck yeah, let's do this, you know.
Tight.
The last thing I want to mention is the last thing of the movie where he exchanged the glances with Michelle Monaghan, and just like they know each other is still around, you know, but also they can't necessarily like interact with each other. I thought it was a really nice touch from the beginning of the movie where we assume she's gone, you know, and so it's like cool to see him kind of still like looking over her while still keeping her safe and at a distance. I thought that was a really nice touch, and you know, excited to see more of her. So.
Oh, let's go. Okay. I got to give a shout out to my boy Luther for the flip off. I can't finish that without saying that again. Okay. Next week on the Patreon pod, we're doing Mission Impossible 5. That's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. 24 minutes. We're going to stick to it. Hopefully. We'll see. Yeah. We have no incentive to go over. This was the one. I knew that you were using this one.
Over that line. Yeah.
Had to be done. So we'll see. Rogue Nation, 24 minutes next week. I'm super stoked because this Ghost Protocol just kind of like took this franchise to another level for me.
Yeah, we're stepping up to the second level of this franchise, which is awesome. I want to know what you guys think about Ghost Protocol. Like, if any of you out there, like myself, if this is your favorite, let us know. I think our friend Caleb also mentioned this is his favorite of the Mission Impossible series, which is fantastic. Like, great to have, you know, someone in the same boat as me, because it's just like nothing. I don't know that anything will beat this. Not that the other ones aren't great, but it's just like this for me is it. So let us know what you think about Ghost Protocol. Obviously, we're on Twitter, Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. You're either watching this on YouTube, possibly through the Patreon. If you are, thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate that. But you can also, you know, watch our regular pod on YouTube. Just look up 24 minutes of A24. So thank you all so much for your support. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. It's not mission difficult. It's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it is.
And it was impossible this week. Couldn't be done.
Very possible.